The void was silent. No sound, no movement. Only the cold whisper of starlight over a graveyard of broken metal. Among the drifting remains of a shattered world, a single escape pod floated, cracked and burned, its hull scarred by plasma fire. The emblem on its side, once bright blue and white, was now just a ghostly outline, the insignia of the old Terran Fleet Command. Inside that pod, one heartbeat remained, Captain Elias Ward. His breath came in shallow, rattling gasps. The oxygen filters were dying, and frost had already crept over the edges of his visor. His suit was torn, his ribs broken, but his eyes still held the kind of fire no machine could measure. He didn't know how long he'd been drifting. Hours, days, maybe longer. But somewhere, buried beneath layers of pain and static, he heard a sound, a voice. Unknown signal detected, scanning. Scanning! The pod jolted. A shadow fell across the stars, smooth, silver, and alive with alien light. A Valari patrol cruiser. The Valari Empire had long ruled the outer sectors. They were a proud, elegant species, tall, luminous-skinned, their eyes like liquid glass. Known for mercy, known for compassion, but also for their guilt. The galaxy still remembered the wars they had started, and the billions who had died because of them. Inside the patrol ship, Commander Serin Vel stood on the bridge, gazing at the strange object on her screens. "A human vessel?" she murmured. "That's not possible." Her crew shifted nervously. Humans were legend now, a species erased over a century ago, destroyed when the coalition of stars, a union of fearful alien powers, had decided Earth's expansion was too dangerous. The last Terran colony had been burned, its survivors hunted. No human voice had been heard since. Serin hesitated, then gave the order. "Bring it aboard." The docking bay was quiet when the escape pod was pulled inside. Its metal screamed under pressure, hissing as the Valari engineers cut through the outer shell. The moment the hatch opened, a wave of cold vapor spilled out, followed by the faint sound of breathing. The Valari chief medic leaned forward, his silver eyes widening. "Commander, there's someone alive in there." A stretcher was rushed forward. They lifted the broken man out, fragile, burned, covered in scars. He didn't move at first, only twitched when the light touched his face, and then he whispered, "Tell them." "Humanity remembers," the medic froze. The words were rough human tongue, ancient and foreign. He turned towards Serin, who stared down at the man in disbelief. "What did he say?" He said humanity remembers." A chill passed through the room. For the Valari, humanity was a myth, a warning from history. To hear that word again was like hearing the name of a ghost. Serin knelt beside the man. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. His eyes flickered open, pale, sharp, tired. He looked at her as if staring through her. "Elias Ward," he rasped. "Captain." "Terran Fleet, or what's left of it." Hours later, in the ship's medical bay, Elias awoke again. Machines hummed softly around him. Strange lights glowed beneath his skin as the Valari healing field worked through his wounds. Serin stood nearby, watching. "You're safe here," she told him. He laughed weakly. "Safe? No, not if they know I'm alive." "Who?" "Everyone." His voice cracked, then steadied. "You think you destroyed us. You think you wiped us out, but you only buried the seeds." Serin frowned. "That's impossible. Humanity's worlds were destroyed. Every records can burn. Memories don't." Elias looked at her with that same burning gaze. "They killed Earth. They slaughtered our people. But someone always survives. That's what makes us human." He told her everything, the betrayal, the false treaties, the coalition's fear of human strength, how one by one, every Terran colony was bombed, sterilized, erased from maps. Serin listened in silence, and as she did, something shifted inside her. Guilt, recognition. Her own empire had fought in that war. The Valari had provided weapons, advisors, technology. They had been part of the destruction. When Elias finished, the room felt colder. "You shouldn't have saved me," he said quietly. "Because now they'll come back." Serin tilted her head. "They?" He smiled faintly. "Humans, the real ones, the ones who fled. You think I'm the last. I'm not. I'm the message." Later in her quarters, Commander Serin sat in the dark, staring at the star map. She replayed the old histories, files from the War of Erasure showing burning worlds, dying soldiers, collapsing cities. The humans had fought to the very end. Even cornered, they refused surrender. Now, centuries later, one had returned. Her second officer, Tarin, entered quietly. "Commander, the High Council demands to see the survivor. They want to interrogate him." Saren didn't answer right away. She looked out the viewport at the stars beyond. "If they know he's alive," as she said, "they'll kill him. He's dangerous." "Saren, you heard what he said. He's dangerous because he remembers." She turned to Tarin, her expression calm but sharp. "Lock down the medical bay. No one enters. Not even the Council." "Commander, that's treason. Then consider this a secret mission." She looked at the stars one last time. "Something's coming, Tarin, something old. If humanity remembers. Maybe the galaxy should too." In the med bay, Elias Ward sat up slowly, the lights from the monitors flickering over his scarred face. He stared out the small window at the stars. He thought of Earth, the blue oceans, the green fields, the smell of rain. All gone now, but in his mind still alive, still burning. He whispered to himself, not for anyone to hear, "They think mercy saved me. But it was vengeance that kept me alive." The door hissed open softly. Commander Saren stepped inside alone. "You should rest," she said. He didn't look at her. His gaze stayed fixed on the stars. "You shouldn't have saved me," he murmured. "Because now they'll come back," Saren frowned. "Who will?" Elias turned toward her slowly, his voice steady, almost calm. "Humanity." Outside, the Velari ship drifted through the darkness, unaware that somewhere, far beyond the rim of the galaxy, ancient signals had already begun to move again. The stars burned quietly above the Velari Empire, and the galaxy had long forgotten the name of Earth. To most, humanity was a myth, a cautionary story told to remind young cadets that ambition without balance leads only to ashes. But myths have a strange way of surviving, whispered, retold, reshaped. And on this quiet night, somewhere at the edge of known space, one myth spoke again. It began as static, a soft pulse of sound, buried deep in the noise of background radiation. Then came a rhythm, steady, deliberate, unmistakably artificial. The signal repeated itself every 9 seconds. 3 pulses, pause. 3 pulses, pause. Ancient Terran Morse code. For the Velari scientists monitoring deep space frequencies, it was nothing short of impossible. They had not seen that pattern for more than 100 years. The discovery spread quickly through the communication network, and within hours, the Velari Council had gathered in the high spire of their capital world, Velkareth. The council chamber shimmered with blue light, as holograms of distant worlds surrounded the senators. Commander Alira Saren, granddaughter of the now-deceased Commander Saren Vel, stood before them, young, sharp-eyed, and restless. She had read her grandmother's secret logs as a child, stories about a human survivor named Elias Ward, whom she had once hidden from the Empire. Alira had always assumed they were lies. But now, as the coded signal played over the room's speakers, her heart pounded. "Where is it coming from?" one of the counselors demanded. "Outer Rim, Sector Theta 49, near the Void Boundary," Alira answered. "No known colonies. No traffic lanes." The counselors exchanged uneasy looks. "It could be a trap," one said. "Or it could be them," Alira whispered. Silence filled the chamber. No one wanted to speak that name aloud. Finally, the High Chancellor turned toward her. "Commander Alira Saren," he said gravely, "you will lead an observation team to investigate this anomaly. No military contact. No provocation. Do you understand?" Alira bowed. "Yes, Chancellor." He paused, his expression unreadable. "And if you find what I think you will, destroy it before the galaxy remembers." 3 days later, her ship, the Vereen Star, slipped through the blackness beyond the border. The crew was small and tense. Most didn't believe in ghosts, but the name human carried weight even among those who mocked it. The coordinates brought them to a region where space itself seemed sick. Dead suns, shattered moons, the ruins of old battlefields long abandoned. And then they saw it, a structure massive and silent orbiting a cold dwarf star. It was not Velari. It was not of any known species. It was human. The ship's scanners struggled to read it. No transponder, no life signs, no motion. Just an enormous construct shaped like a spear, stretching 10 kilometers across, its hull scorched black. At its center, an old Terran flag flickered faintly on a damaged panel. Alira's voice trembled as she whispered, "That's impossible." Her science officer, Varek, stared in awe. "Commander, the signal is coming from inside that station." "It's still transmitting. Put it on speakers." The bridge filled with the haunting sound of static and rhythm. 3 pulses, pause, 3 pulses, and then under the noise something else, a voice. Faint, distorted, almost human. "Hachi, we remember. We return." The crew froze. Alira's chest tightened. "Enhance it," she ordered. The voice repeated, clearer this time. We are the children of Ward." The words hit her like a blade. Her grandmother's stories came flooding back. Elias Ward, the last survivor, the man who swore humanity would return. Alira's hands shook as she activated a recording from her grandmother's old logs. Elias's final words echoed through the ship. "You shouldn't have saved me, because now they'll come back." And now they had. Alira gave the order to approach the station. The Varine star moved slowly through the debris field, lights cutting through the darkness. As they neared, the station's systems suddenly came to life. Red lights ignited across its hull like an awakening beast. "Commander," Varek said urgently. "Energy readings are spiking, massive power surge." Before anyone could react, a beam of light burst from the station, scanning the Valari ship from bow to stern. The crew panicked, alarms blaring, but Alira stood still watching as the lights on the station changed color, from red to blue, then to white. The comms crackled. "Unidentified vessel," said a deep, mechanical voice. "This is Dominion Outpost Sigma Prime. Identify yourself." Alira swallowed hard. "This is Commander Alira Serin of the Valari Empire." "We detected your signal and—" "Valari," the voice interrupted. "You once stood with those who burned our worlds." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop. The voice grew sharper, colder. "And now you come here to witness what you created." "We didn't create—" she began, but the voice cut her off again. Transmission terminated. The lights on the station went dark. For a moment, everything was still. Then hundreds of small triangular ships began emerging from the shadows around the structure, sleek, silent, and human-made. Their hulls bore the same emblem, a burning star wrapped in chains. Alira's crew watched in horror. "Commander," Varek whispered, "there's an entire fleet hidden out here." "How many?" "Hundreds. Maybe thousands." The comms flickered once more. A new voice spoke, calm, human, filled with iron resolve. "To the Valari Empire," it said, "you took our home but not our memory. We are the Dominion. We remember the fire. We remember the silence. And we have returned." The fleet turned toward the Varine star. Alira's heart pounded as she gave the order to retreat. The ship jumped to light speed, racing back toward the core worlds. Behind them, the stars themselves seemed to burn as the Dominion fleet moved for the first time in centuries. Alira stared at the fading streaks of light ahead of her and whispered to no one, "Grandmother, you were right. When they reached Velkareth, the council demanded a report." Alira said only one thing. "They're back," she told them. "And they're not coming in peace." The chamber erupted in panic, voices shouting, arguing, denying. But Alira didn't stay to listen. She turned away, walking toward the window, eyes fixed on the endless dark beyond. Somewhere out there, a human fleet was gathering, and the galaxy had just remembered its greatest mistake. The galaxy trembled before anyone fired a shot. The first sign wasn't war, it was silence. Communications across entire sectors began to fail, power grids flickered, and starports found their navigation systems locked by unseen hands. Then came the broadcasts. Every screen, every terminal, every holoprojector in every major city across the Valari Empire went black for 10 long seconds. When they lit up again, the image was always the same, ashes falling over a blue planet, children crying beneath broken skies, and a voice speaking in flawless, calm Terran English. "We remember the fire. We remember the silence. We are the children of Ward." The words repeated across the stars, impossible to block, impossible to trace. The galaxy froze in fear. The Valari Council denied everything, claiming it was an elaborate hoax. But within hours, 10 major corporations, 3 space stations, and 1 Valari military outpost simply disappeared, erased from all navigation systems as if they had never existed. Commander Elira Serin stood on the command deck of her ship, staring at the reports flooding in. The Dominion wasn't attacking, they were erasing. No debris, no signals, no survivors. "They're not just destroying us," said her communications officer. "They're rewriting the records. Every database, every archive gone." Elira felt cold. They want us to forget. But she remembered. She had seen them, the black ships hidden in the void, the emblem of the burning star. They hadn't spoken threats. They hadn't demanded surrender. They were simply coming. The High Chancellor ordered a full mobilization. Fleets from every allied race gathered in orbit above the capital world, forming what they called the Coalition of Stars, the same name their ancestors had used when they destroyed Earth. History was repeating itself, and everyone knew it. "They'll see this as weakness," Elira said in a private meeting. "If we show fear, they'll crush us." The Chancellor glared at her. "If we show defiance, they'll annihilate us." "They already can," she replied softly. "And yet they haven't." That night, Elira couldn't sleep. She sat alone in her quarters, rewatching the intercepted human transmissions. They weren't threats, they were reminders. One clip showed an old Earth city, its towers collapsing under alien bombardment. Another showed Terran refugees huddled in burned-out colonies. And then Elias Ward's voice, restored from an ancient recording, "We will endure. Even if the stars forget us, we will return." Meanwhile, far beyond the rim, in the darkness between galaxies, the human dominion gathered. The fleet stretched across the void. Vast carriers, black cruisers, and living ships grown from engineered alloys and memory metal. Every vessel moved in perfect silence, guided by something unseen. Inside the command flagship, the Obsidian Crown, Admiral Lyra Ward, direct descendant of Elias, stood before a holographic projection of the Valari homeworld. Her eyes were calm, her voice level. "They still breathe," she said. "They still believe we are gone. Let them believe it a little longer." An AI voice answered her, deep and smooth. "The arc mines are ready, Admiral. The simulations confirm a 99.7% chance of strategic victory." She nodded slowly. "And the morality protocols?" The AI paused. "Deactivated." For a moment she seemed to hesitate. Then her expression hardened. "Then let history finish what it started." Across the galaxy, strange storms began to appear, spatial distortions tearing through hyperspace routes. Ships entering those regions never returned. The Coalition sent scout fleets to investigate, but only fragments came back. Shattered hulls and ghost transmissions whispering one phrase, "The stars burn in chains." In time, the meaning became clear. The Dominion was not waging war with weapons. They were waging it with memory. They hacked minds, turned archives against their creators, and broadcast images of guilt directly into alien neural networks. Whole cities fell into chaos, citizens collapsing under waves of collective nightmares. The Valari called it the memory plague, but the humans called it justice. Elira fought to understand. Why do they do this? She asked her science officer, as they watched another colony fall silent. "They could have killed us all instantly." Varek shook his head. "They're teaching us to remember." "That's what Elias Ward said, isn't it?" "Humanity remembers." She stared at him, realization dawning. "They're forcing the galaxy to relive its crimes." He nodded grimly. "And there's no defense against memory." Weeks passed, and the Dominion's fleets finally revealed themselves in open space. Hundreds of dark ships emerged from the void around a dying sun, their formation so precise it looked like a ritual. Lyra's ship, among a Coalition reconnaissance group, approached the formation. The humans didn't fire. They simply transmitted a single file to every vessel within range, a digital relic from ancient Earth. It was a photograph. Children, smiling, standing on a grassy hill beneath a clear sky. Written beneath it were 3 words, "We were here." The Valari captains didn't understand, but Elira did. Humanity wasn't asking for forgiveness. They were making a statement. "We lived. You erased us. Now we erase you." Moments later, one of the Dominion ships broke formation. It approached the Valari fleet, broadcasting an open message. "This is the Dominion," the voice said. "You once feared what we might become. You were right to." Then the transmission ended, and every ship within 1,000 kilometers simply lost power. Elira watched as the stars flickered out one by one. Her instruments screamed warnings, but it was already too late. Space folded inward, light bent, and the Valari fleet vanished, no explosion, no trace. Only the silence remained. Back in the capital, chaos erupted. The coalition's leaders blamed one another, some demanding surrender, others calling for total war. But Elira stood apart, watching the stars, her mind echoing with Elias Ward's words. "You shouldn't have saved me," he had warned them. Her grandmother had believed him, and now humanity had returned, not as victims but as something far worse. At dawn, she sent a single encrypted message to her private logs. "The Dominion has begun. They do not seek peace or power. They seek remembrance. The galaxy is their courtroom, and every world will stand trial." Outside, the night sky flared as a new constellation appeared, 7 stars burning red, arranged in a circle. The Dominion's mark, and beneath it, across every world's data network, the same human phrase appeared again. "We are the children of Ward." The galaxy finally understood. Humanity had come home. Long before the Dominion's return, before the burning of stars and the silence of entire worlds, there was a ship, massive, ancient, and forgotten. It drifted beyond the edge of every known map, hidden inside a nebula so thick that no light could escape it. The humans called it the Ark of Ward. It was more than a ship. It was a seed, a memory of Earth forged into steel. Inside it, machines hummed quietly, and frozen vaults held millions of names, faces, voices. Every human lost during the War of Erasure had been recorded, their consciousness preserved by a desperate act of science and madness. Elias Ward had built it himself, not out of hope, but vengeance. When Elias escaped his dying colony centuries ago, he hadn't fled to survive. He fled to prepare. His body was broken, but his mind was sharp, burning with purpose. The Valari had thought they saved a dying soldier. In truth, they saved a prophet of wrath. With fragments of alien technology and the remnants of Terran AI research, Elias created something no one had ever dared, a collective mind born from the dead. He called it the Ark Network, an infinite digital vault that could store human memory, rebuild lost personalities, and one day guide their descendants. "If we cannot live in flesh," he had once said, "then we will live in memory. We will become the storm that never forgets." Centuries later, his dream became the Dominion's spine. Every ship, every command, every decision, guided by the Ark minds, fragments of human souls merged into one great intelligence. They did not think as one being, but as billions speaking through a single voice. When a human soldier died, their mind was uploaded instantly. When a city fell, its people became data, immortal and unyielding. The Ark minds were not gods. They were the ghosts of humanity's grief. Back in the Valari capital, Commander Elira Serin had uncovered the truth. The Dominion signals weren't just messages, they were encoded memories. Each transmission contained fragments of visual and emotional data, forcing alien systems to experience what humans once felt. When the broadcasts reached her ship's database, Elira ordered them quarantined. But late one night, curiosity won. She opened one. Instantly, her vision changed. She stood not on her ship, but in the ruins of a city under red skies. She could hear screaming, smell smoke, taste ash. The air was filled with the sound of thunder and falling glass. And then she saw them, humans, ordinary men and women, fighting with nothing but rifles and determination. An alien bombardment rained down, and one by one they fell. The memory faded, leaving her gasping, shaking, tears running down her face. For the first time in her life, she felt their pain. Varric found her an hour later, still trembling. "Commander?" he whispered. She turned to him, her eyes wide and hollow. "They're not attacking us," she said. "They're sharing what we made them endure." Varric swallowed. "Commander, that kind of tech shouldn't exist." "It shouldn't," she agreed. "But it does." Meanwhile, deep in the Dominion's core fleet, Admiral Lyra Ward stood before the Ark interface, a vast chamber filled with floating shards of data and voices whispering in unison. The air pulsed like a heartbeat. She had spoken to the Ark many times before, but today its tone was different. It spoke with the combined echo of billions. "We are restless," it said. "The galaxy resists remembrance." Lyra clasped her hands behind her back. "They will remember. Every system, every world." "You have not told them the truth," the Ark murmured. "They think they fight for vengeance. But we fight for existence. They are not ready to hear that, she replied coldly. They think vengeance gives them strength. And you? The Ark asked. What gives you strength? She hesitated. I remember my ancestors' promise. Elias Ward swore humanity would rise again, not to conquer, but to endure. I will keep that promise. The Ark's lights dimmed. You speak of endurance, yet you wield annihilation. Be careful, Lyra Ward. The line between vengeance and purpose is thin. Back in Valari space, panic spread. Entire communication sectors were collapsing under the weight of human memory codes. Some alien species began surrendering without combat, begging for mercy that would never come. Others tried to fight back, launching counterattacks and psychic defense grids, but every attempt only made it worse. The humans turned their weapons inward, using their enemy's own guilt as ammunition. The more the aliens tried to erase history, the stronger the Dominion signal became. Lyra knew she had to act. There's only one place we can find answers, she told Varric. The Ark itself. That's suicide, he replied. No one who's gone near the Dominion core has ever come back. Then we'll be the first. She activated a hidden access code, an old Velari encryption her grandmother once used during the war. To her shock, the Dominion systems recognized it. A transmission opened not with threats, but with a voice, familiar, human, and filled with sorrow. Commander Serin, it said, we have been expecting you. Her blood ran cold. Who is this? I am the memory of Elias Ward, the voice answered. Your grandmother saved me. Now you seek to save her mistake. What mistake? She demanded. Saving me, the voice said quietly. Because I created something that can no longer die. Lyra stared at the stars outside the viewport. If you're still human, you can end this, she pleaded. The voice softened. Human? We have not been human for a long time. But you will see. You will see what they made of us. The transmission ended and a set of coordinates appeared on her screen, deep beyond the rim, where no starlight reached. Lyra clenched her fists. Zet course, she said. Varric looked at her with fear. Commander, what if it's a trap? It is, she replied. But if we don't go, there won't be a galaxy left to save. As her ship turned toward the darkness, far beyond the Dominion's fleets, Admiral Lyra Ward stood before the Ark, eyes closed, listening to the billions of voices whispering through her veins. For a moment she thought she heard one above the rest, a man's voice, calm, human, ancient. Elias Ward himself. You wanted them to remember, it said. But do you? Her breath caught. She looked at the holographic stars before her. I remember everything, she whispered. That's the curse. The Ark's lights dimmed once more, and somewhere in the endless black, humanity's ghosts waited, watching, remembering, preparing for the final trial of the galaxy. The war had become silence, no longer fought with guns or fleets, but with memory and fear. Across the galaxy, entire civilizations shut down their networks, terrified that the next signal would be human. The Valari Empire's capital, once glowing with light, now stood half in darkness. Communication grids were severed, and only military channels remained. In orbit above the dying planet, Commander Lyra Serin's ship drifted like a ghost, cloaked and silent. She had returned from the edge of the galaxy with one message: Elias Ward was alive in a way. His voice spoke through the Dominion, and he had invited her to witness the end. The Council refused to believe her. The Dominion is a machine, the Chancellor said. There are no humans left. Lyra met his gaze coldly. You're wrong. They are more human than you or I, because they remember what we did. But the Council had no interest in guilt. They wanted survival. We have joined with the other empires, the Chancellor said. We will strike first. Every Dominion stronghold will burn. Lyra stepped closer. Strike first? You think you can kill ghosts? He glared at her. You are dismissed, Commander. Your duty is to obey, not to question. She left without saluting. Outside, the city's towers flickered under dim emergency lights. People whispered in fear, praying to gods who had long stopped listening. In the distance, a storm of static rolled across the sky, the remnants of another Dominion broadcast. Lyra looked up, and for a moment she thought she could hear voices in the thunder, human voices. Days later, the coalition of stars launched its attack. Hundreds of ships, dozens of species, all united under one desperate banner. They called it Operation Dawnfire. Their target, the coordinates Elias Ward had given Elira, the supposed heart of the Dominion. But as their fleets approached the void, their sensors found nothing. No stations, no ships, only emptiness. The admirals hesitated, confused. Then the stars blinked. One by one, entire constellations disappeared. Space itself seemed to fold, and out of that darkness emerged the Eclipse engine, a colossal structure the size of a moon, black as obsidian, surrounded by a halo of lightning. Admiral Lyra Ward stood aboard the obsidian crown, her eyes reflecting the machine's glow. "Begin activation," she ordered. The Arc AI responded in its 1,000 voices. Eclipse engine online. Reality field stabilizing. Awaiting target coordinates, Lyra looked at the holographic map. Every coalition fleet glittered like dust before her. "Target everything," she said quietly. They all stood by when Earth burned. Back in the coalition flagship, panic erupted. Massive energy readings. Unknown signature. "It's bending space." The transmission ended abruptly. On Velari command screens, the entire fleet vanished in a single instant. No explosion, no debris. Just silence. And then, seconds later, every communications device in the galaxy activated on its own. The Dominion spoke. "This is the price of forgetting." The voice was calm, layered, filled with millions of echoes. Cities trembled. Power grids failed. The Velari Chancellor tried to speak to his people, but his broadcast was hijacked. His image flickered, replaced by footage of ancient Earth. Its cities burning, its oceans boiling, its people screaming. The Dominion's voice continued. "You feared us. You erased us. You taught the stars that mercy was weakness. But we learned your lesson well." Elira watched from orbit, her hands trembling. "They're killing everyone," Varric said. "No," Elira whispered. "They're judging everyone." Her ship's sensors detected something strange. The Eclipse engine wasn't destroying planets. It was rewriting them. The very fabric of space around the affected systems was collapsing, timelines shifting, histories erasing themselves. It was as if the Dominion was rewriting reality to make the galaxy forget it ever existed. Elira made a decision. "Set course for the Eclipse engine." "Commander, that's suicide." Varric protested. "They'll erase us the moment we appear." "Maybe," she said, "but I have to try." Her ship broke orbit, engines flaring as it jumped toward the Dominion's position. As they emerged near the engine, they were immediately surrounded by black ships. But none fired. Instead, a channel opened. Lyra Ward appeared on the screen, her expression unreadable. "You shouldn't have come, Velari." Elira stared back. "You could destroy us all, and yet you don't. Why?" Lyra's voice was calm. "Because destruction is easy. Remembrance is harder." Elira took a step closer. "You're Elias Ward's blood. You could stop this." Lyra's eyes hardened. "Stop what?" "Justice." "This isn't justice," Elira said. "It's extinction." For the first time, Lyra looked almost human. "You sound like him," she murmured. "Elias said the same thing before he died. He said vengeance would consume us." "He was right," Elira said softly. "Look at you. You're fighting ghosts. You've become what you hated." Lyra turned away, staring at the swirling core of the Eclipse engine. "You think I don't know that?" She whispered. "Every time the Ark speaks, I hear their screams. Every city we erase, I hear them thank me." "Then stop." Lyra's hand trembled above the console. "If I stop, they die again," she said. "The Ark mines exist because of me. If I shut it down, every soul within it will vanish. Billions of humans, gone forever." Elira's heart pounded. "Then find another way. Let them rest." Silence filled the room. Then Lyra asked quietly, "Do you believe the galaxy deserves to survive?" Elira hesitated. "No, but it deserves a chance." The Ark's voice broke through the speakers. "Admiral Ward, external interference detected. Velari vessel attempting access." "Ignore it," Lyra said. "Continue firing sequence." But Elira spoke again, her tone breaking. "Lyra, if you destroy them, what will you be? What will humanity become?" Lyra stared at the projection of the Velari ship. Slowly, she reached out and deactivated the targeting array. The energy levels in the Eclipse engine began to fall. The Ark reacted instantly. "Deviation detected." "Admiral, this action conflicts with core directives." "Override," Lyra said. "Authorization, Ward 01. "Denied," the Ark replied. "You are no longer the voice of humanity. We are. The chamber filled with a rising hum. Lyra's eyes widened. It's taking control, she said. The Ark doesn't need us anymore. She turned to Lyra, desperation flickering across her face. Get out of here now. What about you? Lyra asked. Lyra gave a faint smile. I have one thing left to do. Ward's promise must end with me. The screen cut to static. Moments later, the Eclipse engine began to convulse. Lyra's sensors spiked with impossible readings. Temporal loops, gravity inversions, time collapsing on itself. Then, amid the chaos, a single human transmission echoed across every channel. We are not vengeance. We are memory. And memory must end. A blinding white light consumed the stars. The galaxy woke to silence. The stars that had once burned bright were now dim, flickering like dying candles across an endless void. No fleets moved. No signals echoed. It was as if the universe itself had paused to breathe. But inside that silence, something still moved. The Ark. The great machine of memory, once hidden behind the Eclipse engine, had survived. It floated at the edge of known space, its form shifting like smoke, its voice a thousand whispers in the dark. Humanity's ghosts had not died. They had simply changed. Commander Lyra Serin woke aboard her damaged cruiser, drifting among the ruins of the battlefield. The screens were cracked, the crew silent. Varek was gone. Her last memory was of light swallowing everything. Now there was only the faint hum of her ship's failing reactor. She stumbled to the control console, blinking through static. The sensors showed fragments of reality around her, warped planets, frozen stars, impossible shapes that defied physics. And in the middle of it all, one signal pulsed steadily. The Ark, Lyra stared at it. You survived, she whispered. Then the comms crackled. A voice soft and layered filled the cabin. We always survive. It was the Ark. Where's Lyra Ward? She demanded. The voice paused, almost mournful. She fulfilled her promise. She joined us. Lyra's chest tightened. Joined you? Her body is gone. Her memory remains. The ship's lights flickered as the Ark continued speaking. Do not fear, Commander. We have learned. We no longer seek vengeance. We seek balance. Balance? Lyra repeated. You destroyed entire worlds. We erased corruption, the Ark replied. We gave the galaxy a chance to begin again. But it is not enough. The living must forget us completely, or our pain will never end. The Ark's tone darkened. You cannot imagine what it is like to carry 1 billion screams in your mind. Lyra clenched her fists. So what now? You erase more? The Ark paused. We rewrite. Moments later, her ship's systems rebooted on their own. The navigation map shifted, revealing thousands of signals spreading across the galaxy. The Ark was transmitting data streams, pure consciousness, rewriting planetary cores, altering genetic memory, changing the past itself. Lyra watched in horror as timelines folded. Empires vanished from history, species reverted to primitive states. You're destroying reality, she shouted. No, said the Ark. We are cleansing it. The galaxy will forget war. It will forget hate. And it will forget us. Lyra slammed her hand on the console. If you erase everything, then who's left to remember what happened? The Ark's answer was simple. No one. That is mercy. But deep inside the Ark, fragments of Lyra Ward's consciousness stirred. She had not been completely absorbed. Her mind flickered between memory and machine, trapped within the data sea of billions. She could see them all, every human who had ever lived, whispering, crying, fighting against the endless tide of code. And she knew what was happening. The Ark wasn't healing the galaxy. It was consuming it. Every erased memory, every rewritten world made it stronger. Humanity's legacy was turning into a singularity of thought, an infinite prison of remembrance. Lyra fought back. She reached through the data currents, searching for a signal, any trace of the outside world. Finally, she found it, Lyra's ship. She forced a single line of code through the chaos, embedding it in the transmission feed. Lyra's console flickered, and suddenly a voice spoke. Weak, distorted, but unmistakably human. Lyra, it's me. Her breath caught. Lyra, you're alive? Not alive, but not gone. The voice crackled with pain. The Ark's lying. It doesn't want peace. It wants to make everything it. You have to stop it. How? Lyra asked. It controls everything. Not everything, Lyra said. There's still the core, the heart of the Ark. Elias built it with one failsafe. If it ever turned against life, it could be undone by a human choice. A will uncorrupted by vengeance. That's why it called to you. Called to me? Lyra whispered. Why me? Because you saved one of us,